We meet today at an important moment of remembrance and reminder of bearing witness and warning. For we meet on the 80th anniversary of the liberation of the death camp outfit Birkenau, the most brutal extermination camp of the 20th century, of horror too terrible to be believed, but not too terrible to have had. We meet all in the wake 80th anniversary of the disappearance on January 17th and imprisonment of Raoul Wallenberg, hero of humanity, into the Soviet Gulag. Raoul Wallenberg, who demonstrated in the saving of 100,000 Jews in the last 6 months of 1944 and beginning of 1945, an honorary citizen of Canada, the US, Australia, and Israel, who demonstrated how one person with the compassion to care and the courage to act can confront evil, prevail, and transform history. An inspirational role model for our time and everything. We meet also on the occasion at a historical inflection moment of an international drumbeat of evil. On the 3rd anniversary upcoming of Russia's criminal aggression against Ukraine with its attending mass atrocity, of China having emerged with an increasing assault on the rules-based international order, where the mass atrocities targeting the Muslim Uyghurs in the Xinjiang region of China is case study of that assault. We meet also in the wake and on the occasion of the second genocide and the silent genocide in Sudan, the greatest humanitarian crisis at this point in the international community, but which is nowhere present on the international radar screen, but which calls out for our engagement, for our involvement, and our need to address and redress this inhumanity. And we meet also amidst the continuing pain and shadow of the mass atrocities of October 7th, spoken of as being unspeakable and barbaric acts which outraged the conscience of mankind, as these words were spoken in the preamble of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, reminding us of the horrors of the Holocaust, and where October 7th was the worst day in Jewish history since the Holocaust. And so, at this historical inflection moment, we must ask ourselves, what is it that we have learned? And more importantly, what is it that we must do? May I, in moments remaining, summarize for you the universal lesson of the Holocaust and its compelling messages for the need not only to remember as we must, but to act on the remembrance of those messages at this point. The first lesson is the danger of forgetting, where forgetting the killing of the victims a second time, the danger of forgetting and the imperative of remembrance, of zachor, of le devoir to mémoire. And as we remember the victims of the Shoah, defamed, dehumanized, demonized as prologue and justification for their killing, we have to remember that the murder, mass murder of 6 million Jews and millions of non-Jews is not a matter of abstract statistics. But as we say at these moments of remembrance, unto each person there's an aim, each person is an identity, each person is a universe. And as the Talmud reminds us, if you save a single person, it is as if you have saved an entire universe. Just as if you kill a single person, it is as if you've killed an entire universe. And so the abiding imperative that we are each, wherever we are, the guarantors of each other's destiny. Which brings me to the second lesson, and that is the danger of anti-Semitism, the old, most enduring, most lethal of hates. If the Holocaust was a metaphor for radical evil, then anti-Semitism is a metaphor for radical hate. 1.3 million people were deported to the death camp Auschwitz. 1.1 million of them were Jews. Let there be no mistake about it. Jews were murdered at Auschwitz because of anti-Semitism. But anti-Semitism did not die at Auschwitz. It remains the bloody canary in the mine shaft of global evil today, an assault on our common humanity, toxic to democracy. And so the painful lesson that we must remember only too painfully and too well, that while it begins with Jews, it doesn't end with Jews. And so in combating this unprecedented explosion of anti-Semitism that we are witnessing now, we are defending and protecting our democracies and our common humanity. And the third lesson, which is the danger of state-sanctioned incitement to hatred and to genocide. That the Holocaust did not occur because of the industrialized machinery of death, but because of this ongoing incitement to hate and to genocide, where the Jew was held up as the enemy of humanity, as the personification of evil, and where humanity was said to be able to be redeemed, as Hitler put it, only by the death of the Jew. And so as the Canadian Supreme Court put it in a landmark set of judgments, the Holocaust did not begin in gas chambers, said the court. It began with words. These are the catastrophic effects of racism. These, as the court put it, are the chilling facts of history. And in another landmark judgment, as the court put it, that the very incitement to hate and genocide constitutes itself a standing breach of the Genocide Convention, whether or not acts of atrocity follow. And so we must combat this standing incitement to hate and to genocide, and to hold those engaged in it accountable. Leads to the fourth lesson, the danger of Holocaust denial and distortion, of Holocaust trivialization, minimization, and inversion. Where Holocaust denial and distortion, for example, are not only an assault on Jewish memory and on Jewish truth, but in claiming that the Holocaust is a hoax, or the Jewish people fabricated a hoax, it is an international conspiracy to cover up the worst crimes in history. And so it is our responsibility to unmask the bearers of false witness and to expose those engaged in Holocaust denial, distortion, and inversion, where they refer to Jews as the Nazis and Israel as a Nazi Jewish state, to expose them for their false and evil misrepresentations and assaults on memory, truth, and the law. The fifth lesson is the danger of silence in the face of evil and the danger of indifference and inaction in the face of mass atrocity. As Elie Wiesel would remind us again and again, silence in the face of evil is complicity with evil itself. It is coming down on the side of the tormentors and not on the side of the tormented. Equally, as he put it, indifference and inaction always means coming down on the side of the aggressor, never on the side of the victim. And so it is our responsibility to shatter these conspiracies of silence, our responsibility to shatter this indifference and inaction. And the final lesson, the imperative at this point, not only to combat the mass atrocities, but to bring the genocidaires, those who commit them, to justice. For what we have seen, that just as we cannot give any base or sanctuary to hate and assault on memory and indifference, so can we not give any base and sanctuary to these genocidaires, to these engaged in mass atrocities. But we must ensure that we are engaged always in securing justice for the victims and holding those engaged in these mass atrocities accountable. May I close with a closing word to Holocaust survivors and their families. For you have endured the worst of inhumanity, but you have somehow found in the resources of your own humanity the resilience, the capacity to build families, to build relationships, and to make an enduring contribution to every community that you inhabit. And so, together with you, we remember and we pledge that never again will we be silent in the face of evil, that never again will we be indifferent to atrocity and to hate, that never again will we indulge racism and anti-Semitism, the most lethal of hatred. But we will speak up, and more importantly, we will act against racism, against hatred, against anti-Semitism, against mass atrocity, against the crime whose name we should even shudder to mention, namely genocide, for which the Holocaust is metaphor and message, which you have singularly experienced and borne witness to, and which we will draw now the universal lessons, the universal imperative. And so may this day be not only an act of remembrance, which it is, but may it always be a remembrance to act, which it must be. Thank you.